Today is really exciting. It's my day of the week that I usually feed my worms, and I've been in having a look at them, and the top box here is completely full. So what I usually do is I would add another box on top, because these worms are all top feeders. So you feed them from the top and they sort of travel up and they stay up at the top and feed it all, and then meanwhile everything else is decomposing and becoming beautiful soil. Everything else they've chewed their way through. And so now I'm at the very last box I've got. So it's time for me to take all these three off, 1, 2, 3, and then this one here should be completely beautiful compost that I can take out and use on my garden, on my plants and everything. And then once I've emptied it out, I'll just add this up to the top and put some food in there, and then the worms will migrate up there again, and we'll just carry on with that sort of wonderful cycle. So for the first time ever since I got this back in December, and we're now in the very end of October, I'm going to be getting some compost. Can't wait to see what it looks like. So let's just get in there. So here we are. Here is the very bottom box. This is the one we first started with. I can't tell you how excited this makes me. Let's just have a look through. It just looks like absolutely beautiful, beautiful compost. Look at that. There's still some eggshells in there. This is before I actually finally crushed all the eggshells. But everything has been turned into this wonderful, beautiful, wormless compost. There was one worm in it, in case you spotted that. But everything else, they all migrated upwards, of course. So there's one little straggler left behind. Oh, and look, this must be something. A little sticker that was on my mango. You see how bad it is to have this kind of plasticky stuff? It's ridiculous. Well, of course the worms can't eat it. So anyhow, wow, look at this. It's so beautiful. Now, what I should do is put it in a tub. I've got an empty tub here for it. I'm going to empty it into that, and then I will sieve it eventually and make sure there are no little worms, so I can save any worms, put them back into the worm farm. But look, I mean, it's so beautiful. We'll have another look. I'll just empty it into the little box I've got. So I emptied out one box, the very bottom box. I've got this really beautiful, super rich compost here. And then if we look up here, this is the second last box. It's also full of just wonderful stuff, but it's got a bit more crunchy, because at that point, when I first started, I wasn't grinding the eggshells. It does take a long time for the eggshells to decompose. The worms can't bite into them. They haven't got teeth. They actually need the eggshells in their gullet as grit to grind food. So I always grind up my own eggshells now when I give it to the worms, and then they'll just have it in there. It'll be inside the compost too. But look at this beautiful stuff. I'm going to leave this in here until the next box needs emptying, and then we can go on from there. Just think that's the best way to go about it. But this is really beautiful stuff too. And as the boxes pile on top of each other, they really compress this compost. And then all the liquid gets drained down to the very bottom, and that's how we get this special liquid here, which is full of nutrition and nutrients that you can feed the plants. So it's just this really, really great system. Now let me get the boxes piled up again. I've got this empty box here, and I'll put it on top and fill it up again and get the worms ready to migrate up to this box. And by the time this box is full, which I think will take about a month now that we have the system in place, then this box down here we know is ready to be taken out and emptied, so we can just use that compost and then get this box up here. And I think that from now onwards we should have a really nice sized box. I think it's a 20-liter box of compost every month, just from kitchen scraps. Now it's when it actually starts paying off, having this wonderful worm farm. So let's just get feeding. The worms are in for a treat today. We've got some, well, these are actually tomato sticks, bits of tomato. We got some mango. We've got a bit of, what else have we got? Carrot peelings. Lots of beautiful autumnal leaves from the garden that have fallen. I thought they'd like that as a treat. And of course we've got lots of pumpkin stuff, because it's pumpkin season, and we've been carving pumpkins this weekend for Halloween, me and the boys. So yeah, they get that as a treat too. I think they do like pumpkin. So we got that, and then we're going to add lots and lots of bedding to them now. And if you watched any of my other WormCity films, you know that I do like really wonderful egg cartons as bedding. I just soaked them in rainwater, and they're just like a wrung out sponge right now. There's not much water to them, but they're nice and moist, nice and damp. And they're just really unrefined cardboard, so they're brilliant. They've not got any poisons in them, no bleach or anything that could harm the worms. So, gonna get up here and just gonna cover this with this nice bedding for them. See, just like that, right on top of all the food. There we go, some more bedding. Let's get a nice layer of this, a nice thick bed to tuck them into. So now that's all covered up, I'm just going to add a beautiful piece of Hessian cloth as a blanket. All tucked in. They always like this Hessian blanket here, it just keeps them nice and cozy. So I think I'm going to leave them unsupervised, just leave them alone to settle in now for about 10 days, and then I'll come and have a little look and see how much they've eaten, how they're doing and everything. But how wonderful is it to have all this amazing compost to play with. And it's at such a great time of year too, because I really want to get out there and feed all the plants, get them all ready for a long cold winter. And I'll try to remove any little worms that have been left behind. Come here, baby. Look at that little guy. He'll be happy to be back at home. Let's put you under the blanket. There you go. In you go. Yeah, so there might be some few little stragglers I need to remove, because these kind of worms actually can't survive outside in the cold. So they need to be inside. That's why I keep my WormCity in the garage, where it doesn't get frozen. Also, when they get too cold, then the worms just almost sort of hibernate and don't do much. So it's best to keep them in a place where they have a warm enough temperature to keep working all year round. But I'm just so happy to finally have something to show for all this. I hope this has encouraged you. If you are looking for a worm farm or a little vermicompost farm, then these ones are a great idea. These WormCities, they work so well. Here's a third worm I found, but basically it does really separate the worms from the compost, so you can harvest them without too many worms in them. I'm going to add this little guy back to his home. But yeah, it's just such a great system. So let me know what you think, if you have another one that works better or what you think of it. And I look forward to hearing from you. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.